Welcome to Fox 23's FRIGID, where we take a deep dive with a keen eye into cold cases across the state of Oklahoma. My name is Kaylie Cotten, and today I'm joined by Andrea Jones and Erma Gingrich, and we are talking about a case out of Tulsa, the 1985 murder of Toni Jones. So the night of Toni Jones's murder, she was seen dancing at Winter Circle Club near 49th and Skelly Drive on May 23rd, 1985. She was seen at the time dancing with a man and one of her friends. Investigators said Toni was at the club until about 1:30 in the morning and then took her friend to 4th and Memorial Drive, I guess, to drop her off. Is that correct?
I didn't think it was Memorial. I was told it was like 30, in between 31st and 35th and off of Sheridan.
Oh, okay.
Her boyfriend lived there and he got off work.
Okay,
so she was taking her friend home.
So she was seeing somebody at the time?
The girlfriend, Toni's friend.
Oh, Toni's friend's boyfriend's house. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So a few hours later, after dropping her friend off at around 4:15 in the morning, Toni was found naked in the road in Skytook, about 10 miles away from where she was last known to be. Toni's car was later found about 8 miles away from where she was found, near Gilcrease Hills, and Toni was 24 at the time, correct? Yeah. How old were you, Andrea, when Toni was killed?
I had just turned 3.
You were 3. Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about your relationship with her. Obviously, you were very young.
I don't really remember much other than what my family has told me in stories. I do have one memory of her, us eating cereal together, laying on our bellies, watching Smurfs cartoons. I don't know if that was my child brain just making that memory up, but I hold it dear to my heart.
Yeah. What about you? Were you two close?
Yes. She was my oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm. How many children do you
have? I had 5 children. I had 4 girls and 1 boy. And Toni was the oldest, and she was kind of the little leader, like the oldest is. Andrea's a lot like her mother. I mean, a lot, even in looks. Toni could do. She could do anything she set her mind to do. She was very athletic. She was cheerleader. She could just do anything, And she was just she had a good personality. People always liked her.
Yeah.
She was just, and she had went out to celebrate because she had just graduated from junior college, TCC,
okay.
And she had just got a job that day.
Oh.
So she went to her best friend's, Bert and Kelly's house, for supper. And then after that, she got a call from the friend. I don't know if you want me to say names, but her name was Connie. And Connie said, well, come down to the Winter Circle. I'll buy you a drink to celebrate you getting a job today. And so she went down there, and then, she took Connie home. And Connie said Toni was heading home because she was coming to Cushing the next day to get Andrea.
Yeah.
Because after Toni graduated, I took Andrea home. I said, for the week, I said, because you're going to be going on job interviews, and that way you don't have to put Andrea in and out of daycare.
Yeah.
And so I took her home to Cushing with me, and she had told Connie when she dropped her off she was headed home because she wanted to get up the next morning to come to Cushing.
Right. So the night of the murder, Toni was seen dancing with some random man at the club. I'm assuming this is what Connie...
It was no one that she knew that Toni was dancing with.
And he was never identified? Was Toni in a relationship at the time of her murder?
No, she had just broken up a few weeks before, I think, with a man that she had gone with for a long time. And she had just started dating an airline pilot. And I don't know if they ever even talked to him. because I didn't have the name. I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
When Toni was murdered, it was out the road that goes to Osage Hills. You threw me when you said Skytook. That's the first time I have ever heard it said
Really?
Skytook. You take the 33rd Street exit off of 412, and then that puts you on, is that Utica or I forget what?
No, Utica's
Utica, I think. And then as soon as you go on Utica to the left, the first road that you can turn right on is where they took her. And it leads out to Osage Hills.
Okay.
That's where the murder happened. And there's an abandoned school down at the end of that road, and it was all country. Now I guess there's houses all out there.
Yeah.
But it was a blacktop road, but that's where they found her. One of the detectives from Osage lived down that road and was at the convenience store that I guess is right close by there. And he was headed to work that morning. And another guy in a white car was going to work down that road and spotted the body. And he stopped at the convenience store and told Clifford Crabtree, he said, there's a body back there on the road. Well, what's kind of upsetting to me, Clifford never got the guy's name or his tag number or nothing. And they, of course, he probably just wanted to, he went down there and called an ambulance. And then they had to, because of all the trees and it being country, they had to get a helicopter to land on Utica or whatever that is. And then they life-flighted her, but she died en route to the hospital.
Yeah. Clifford was the detective or an employee at
He
the
was
gas
the
station?
detective at
Okay.
Osage, Clifford Crabtree.
Okay.
Bill Mitchell was the undersheriff,
Okay.
and he was the main one in charge of the case.
And Clifford didn't ask for the name of the person that said
Yeah.
that saw Toni.
And
Right.
see, there was 12 escapees from prison that same weekend.
Oh goodness.
And the county line sign on that road where Toni was murdered was down. So Tulsa and Osage argued over whose case it was.
Right.
Well, with Clifford living down that road, Detective Crabtree, he said, I know where that county line sign is, and he told him, and it was Osage's case. But they had taken all of the property, as they call it, and put it in Tulsa property room.
Evidence.
So even evidence and everything. So it's still in Tulsa property room.
So it's a Tulsa case
But
still.
I never even met Bill Mitchell or Clifford Crabtree. They never come to Cushing and ever visited with me. Everything was done over the telephone. And they didn't request OSBI. I guess I was told by OSBI at a Parents of Murdered Children's meeting, they told me that the sheriff at that time, not the undersheriff, but the sheriff, is the one that has to request OSBI assistance. And he didn't like to ever request their assistance. And which I think that has changed now, where the family can request assistance. Back then I was told no, only the sheriff could request. But I think in 2022, they passed some rights act that now the family of the victim can request, which I hope is true. I hope that's...
So the man that she was dancing with at the club, it was described as either Native or Latino, around 38 to 40 at the time, 6'4", 180 to 200 pounds, and he had a slightly scarred face, long kind of ear-length, dark wavy hair. At the time, when were you informed something was wrong? Like, when did you get a call letting you know?
Well, that was Thursday during the night, so early Friday morning. They didn't come to my work in Cushing until, was it afternoon, Lori?
Yeah.
Early afternoon before I was told that she was deceased.
How, kind of walk me through what that felt like, because obviously it's horrible.
Well, I screamed bloody murder. I remember that because my daughter, Lori, that's here worked with me in the parts department. It was a Ford dealership. And Lori said she could hear me. They had taken me up to the dealer principal's office and to tell me this, with the sheriff. And so, I mean, it was just devastating.
Right.
My very first thought in my mind was Andrea's father, because they didn't have a very good divorce. They divorced when Andrea was 9 months old.
I still think he had something
And
to do with
that
it.
was my first instinct. Matter of fact, I think I screamed that. I said, if I find out it's David, I'll kill him. Which that's just
Yeah.
the anger coming
Right.
out.
Do you not have any relationship with your father now?
He's deceased.
He's
okay.
deceased as well. He
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. He was never in my life, really. I think I seen him maybe 5 times my entire life
Okay.
before he passed. I did see him right before he passed. When I went back home to Cushing, and my best friend Crystal and I were driving down the dirt road, and we see him. He stops me, and in his own way, tells me he's sorry for me not having my mother with me and everything that he did. And that was the only time I've ever seen him shed a tear. And I never seen him again after that. So
Wow. Andrea, at what age did you, or were you told what happened to your mom?
they were honest with me from the very beginning. They told me that bad men had taken my mom and that she was up in heaven now with Jesus, and she was my guardian angel. And I could talk to her anytime I wanted. And it was always honesty and up front. So I've had questions. I'm sure. I don't really remember the age that I started asking more questions, because she was always just such a constant in our, even though she wasn't there, we always talked about her. I always heard how much I was like her, and it was very refreshing, very comforting to hear those stories and to know the truth from the beginning, because I think honesty was the best key for me, so I wasn't, as I got older, in the dark about it. It's real life. It happens, not to everybody, but
unfortunate circumstances. How, I just kind of want to hear from your point of view growing up with that happening to your mom, so tragic, and then your dad not really being in your life. How was your childhood growing up? Did you feel...
I was so loved. My grandmother and Darlene did a wonderful job with me. I got to do so much. I was more adjusted than most kids with divorced parents or, a single parent household. I was smart. I got along with kids in school. It didn't become hard until I got older. And the realization that I'm not going to have my mom there when I'm having, just Grandma became my mom.
Right.
Not because she wanted to, but because it was necessary. And I never called my grandma mom until I got older, just out of respect. But at the end of the day, I know my mom would not be upset that I called Grandma mom.
Right.
Because she was, in every way, she was my mother. She didn't give me birth, but she taught me everything I needed to know in life, how to be kind to people, how to be helpful, never give up, strength. I definitely got that from my grandma. My grandma definitely has passed that on to my mom and to all of us, and I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
I was a cheerleader. I got to go to Washington, D.C. when I was in 8th grade. And my grandma didn't have the best of jobs, but she made it work every single time. So.
And that probably plays a role, besides just the obvious of you being Tony's daughter, but that probably played a role in a lot of the, who you become is who raised Tony and then who raised you. So it's kind of, you lost somebody, but you also gained another mother, and it's heartbreaking, but there's a bittersweetness to that.
Yeah, I looked at it, the positives of it.
Yeah.
I had 2 grandmas instead of 1 grandma, and it was like having 2 moms, you know.
Yeah.
And then I had 3 aunts that were just constantly fighting over who I liked best or who I wanted to spend more time with. And
You had a strong group of women
Yes.
that stepped in whenever you needed the most.
yes, they definitely have.
So, back to Toni's case. When Toni was found, investigators believed that she had been sexually assaulted and run over with her own car. And like you said, she died on the way to the hospital. Was that the extent of her injuries?
They crushed her larynx. I looked when I was about 12 or 13 at the autopsy report when my grandma wasn't at home because I got curious. And the drawing on the autopsy report of all the marks and cuts and bruises, the fact that she had to kick out her window of her Nova to get out to run away to try to live. She was fighting so hard, and you could see it all over her body with all the bruising and cuts. She fought for her life.
So, investigators, or at least the autopsy, says that she was in the car when the attack happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chevy Chevette, the back folds down. You said Nova, it was a Chevy Chevette. And they told me right off from the very beginning that they called it a gangbang, which means there was more than one
They
person.
took turns.
Oh my gosh.
Because I had to ask them, what do you mean, gangbang? They said that means there's more than one. I can still remember they told me they found 77 hair samples, and out of that, 60-some were hers because she had long hair like Gingrich. And the others, samples of hair showed that it was a Hispanic person.
Or native descent.
Well, they told me Hispanic, is how they told me. And I said, what do you mean, I wasn't sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Being upset and everything,
But they were only able to tie the hair samples to like at least one other person?
They got 6 sets of fingerprints because I had just had the car detailed before I gave it to Toni when she moved to Tulsa. And so there wasn't, that many. And we could account with her daughter, Kaylie, that she took to school, and then her friend Connie. We could attest for almost all the samples of fingerprints that they got out of the car. They found her belongings all along the route. The first thing being right when you exit off of 412, they found her checkbook in the field there. At that
I was gonna ask if there were
that
things
first stop
found
sign.
around
Then
there.
they started finding clothes thrown out along the way, where they were like one was driving, and
The other
it's
one.
how the detectives told me, and the other was I don't know. But they just stressed to me over and over how hard she fought. They said
She had so many
her
defensive
life.
wounds. Yeah.
But when she got away and was running down the road, they could even tell me what foot was in the air because the spoiler
blood.
that's under the bumper in the front cut her heel on her foot when they hit her.
And the blood footprints, too.
And
So she had fought her way out of the car, and then
Yeah.
they
They
hit
wind
her.
her out, and they ran her over twice.
And they went down
Twice.
and turned into a field. Like I said, back now there's homes, but back then it was country. And turned in like where a tractor would go in, and turned around. They knew by the tracks, tire tracks, and came back and ran over her a second time. And then they took the car and pushed it over the hill there by Gilcrease Hill's riding stable. And it was found 2 days later.
With them being in her vehicle, did her friend say that anybody was with them when she dropped
No.
her off?
No. And they they figured she was abducted at a stop sign, which surprised me. They said that happens quite often, where they will force them to the middle of the car. Or they figured that either at her apartment in the parking lot was to where she was abducted. They checked the quick trip at the 31st and Sheridan, and she didn't stop there. And then from talking to Kaylie, her friend, Kaylie was expecting a baby and was going to, what's that called when you give birth at home? And had I can't think what they're called, but the lady that comes and delivers. And Toni was going to be Kaylie's coach.
Okay.
Well, she called Kaylie from the winter circle about 12:30 and wanted to know how Kaylie was feeling, because when she was there for supper, Kaylie was starting to have some contractions. And so they kind of wonder if Toni might have left to go back over to Kaylie's. And so they checked and Kaylie lived off of 412 too on you turn on
Quantum.
Quanta or whatever. And there's a quick trip along in there, so they also checked all the footage of that quick trip. But we've had a retired detective that has worked on a cold case.
Yeah.
Detective Majors. He was going to go to the Tulsa property room and match up all her property, because I left everything there. They said that's best, because if they ever do find someone, it would help in, convicting them. And he was going to get with Osage, and they have the property numbered. But he thinks what's happened is they did send an item to Oklahoma City to get DNA, and they said they couldn't get any DNA off of what was sent. Well, the detective major said he figures what has happened. He said Tulsa property, stuff gets moved around all the time. And he said, so the numbers are probably not matched. And he said, I need to get with Osage and get the property that they have listed for Toni's belongings and evidence that they got accumulated, and match that up with how Tulsa's got theirs numbered.
Gosh, that was 10 years ago?
So I don't know if they ever got that accomplished.
It was about 10 years ago. It was.
And then they also
15.
Came and took a picture of Toni so they could put it on playing cards. And they were giving those in the prisons.
Yeah.
And giving a reward, if I remember right,
Yeah.
to a prisoner that will, because when they're incarcerated, they will talk to each other. And
Yeah, we had another guest on the show that talked about their loved one being put on a playing card, because you never know what can happen. I mean, there's people that are in there for life and they have nothing to lose, and so they'll rat on each other, or they have an inmate who died or got out, and he was like, hey, when he was in here, he told me, XYZ. So it's just another way to try to figure out something.
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, that's the last I've heard. The last time I did talk with Detective Majors, he said that they haven't been able to work cold cases much because they were calling them in to help with current homicides. There's so many homicides nowadays, and they get, not enough detectives to work them all. So they do ask some of the retired detectives, I guess, to help, and they just don't have time to work the cold cases.
Yeah. I know Tulsa County Sheriff's Office, they have a cold case unit made up of retired detectives, deputies, all kinds. And we've spoken to one, Jeff Blair, who is working on Dina Dean's case. And so that makes sense that they would start working on Toni's. Did you, obviously you said earlier that there was nobody chosen as like a person of interest besides maybe this person she was dancing with that they've never spoken to. Do you feel like you know who did it? And you don't have to say names, but
It's been rumored.
We made a list of suspects that we, and I think we had about 13 people on the list. There's people in Cushing, where Andrea lives, that have told her that they definitely know who did it and that they would be willing to testify, but
All those
I
people
don't
are
know.
dead already. Everybody that was involved in my mother's murder, they have said they're all dead already. So there's no point in continuing to. And I'm like, well, there is a point, because it's justice for my mother. I don't care if they're not here anymore, just to know who did it.
you still want answers.
Yeah.
Well, this is 40 years.
Yeah.
This year makes 40 years.
Yeah,
40.
I was going to, May 23rd, right?
Was 40
Yeah,
years.
85.
Yep, I'm 43 now.
Goodness. Well, since we just passed that unfortunate anniversary, how have you handled this tragedy for that long? I mean, you said you had a great childhood,
It's
no matter
hard.
what, but I'm sure.
It's hard. It's real hard. But she's with me all the time. I've had a yellow butterfly with me, which is yellow. It was one of my mom's favorite colors, and it's one of my favorite colors. And right before her sister Terry passed away, she told me if it is possible that, you say your mom's with you, and that every time you see a yellow butterfly, you know it's her. She said she will come as a white butterfly to me. So now, in my times of struggle, I'll see a yellow butterfly and a white butterfly right there with me. And so I know she's been with me my entire life. I know she's getting kind of tired, because I got about 9 lives. I've put her through it. But I know she's with me every step of the way.
That makes so much sense, considering how hard she fought to get back to you.
She has been protecting me and being kind of like my guardian angel my whole life.
Yeah.
So that's how I've made it.
Yeah. How about you, Erma?
It was the hardest thing I ever went through, because having to adjust from being a grandma, where you kind of spoil them, to having to be a disciplinarian, But I always told Andrea, I said, you can, I let her know, I told her age appropriate as far as what happened to her mother. And with age, as she would ask other questions.
Right.
I gave her honest answers, but age appropriate. And her teachers I would always ask them, because of course she could have got free counseling, but she didn't. But I would always ask her teachers. And they said, no, you do a wonderful job with her. She is such a well-adjusted little girl. She's better adjusted than a lot of the students in my class that are dealing with divorced parents. And so that always made me feel good. But when she turned 18, that's when it kind of hit her.
Yeah.
And I worry that it was because she did get a hold of the autopsy, because that's the one thing I never let her have.
Yeah, after you read that, did you immediately go with questions, or did you hold on to that without telling her?
I didn't tell her for years.
You had seen it.
Years. And I had 2 children already when I finally admitted it to her.
How was that conversation?
Oh gosh, you remember?
I felt bad, because I knew it had to be devastating. Because an autopsy shows every little scar and where they run over her, the tire tracks. And it's just, I just thought, oh, what kind of damage did that do to her,
It was probably not the best decision at 13 to do, but it made it real for me, because it really wasn't real for me growing up. Like, I knew I had a mom, and I knew she was wonderful, and everybody loved her, but it wasn't real what had happened to her. It was just something that I'd seen, people seeing on TV and in movies. It wasn't something that could have actually happened. And when I read it all, it's like it all came flashing to me. And
How did you hold that inside at 13 and just carry it with you?
I don't know. I don't know. I kept so busy, I think. I cried a lot to myself, at night, and I think I bottled it up a lot. And it made me angry and bitter for a lot of years. And then that's when my drug addiction started, because I was wanting to numb the feelings, because I felt, every time I thought about her, I felt every cut, every bruise, every hit. And it was almost like I then started putting myself through a lot of the pain that she had to go through, because I always felt like, why did she have to go through that?
Right.
So.
And it's different, hearing that bad men hurt your mom and she's no longer here, versus seeing it in print and seeing everything that happened.
And I'm a very empathetic. I feel people's emotions and I feel things very deeply. And it was very hard for me. Very hard for me. Self-inflicted, but.
No, I mean, it's a coping mechanism when you didn't know how else to handle it. And a lot of people go through that same thing where they don't know how to get out all of those emotions, and so they turn to something like that. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you went through something very hard.
Yeah.
And you were doing everything in your power to get through it.
Yeah, I did. I finally got through. I've done not so good things, but then I have came out on top, and I think my mom would be proud of me where
Absolutely.
I am at today.
You can tell how strong you are. And you had apparently a lot of wonderful women in your life that played wonderful role models.
Yes, they did. They were my biggest cheerleaders, always. Always. Supporting me.
And she would talk to her mom when she was little. If I'd get after her, spank her, my utility room had a long, oblong window and a little step stool, and she'd get on there and stand, and she'd look out, up at the sky, and she'd just, Mom, Grandma spanked me. And I'd be in the kitchen doing dishes just a crying,
Aww.
And then I'd think, okay, Erma, you got to, quit crying. You got to be strong for her,
Yeah.
And when I went back to work after that happened, oh, my goodness, on my way home from work, I would cry so hard. And then when I lived 6 miles out in the country, and then about when I'd get to the house, I'd think, okay, Erma, you got to,
Try it up.
be tough again, be strong.
How did you cope mentally? Because it's one thing to go through that and having, being able to, let it all out when you're by yourself, but you had to care for Andrea. And when did you find time just to mourn?
On the way home, driving
That's
in the
it?
car.
Yeah.
Going down to the barn.
I think what helped me more than anything is being active along with Andrea. I coached her little softball team, and
She kept you young.
we just started young and kept her busy.
Yeah.
She played basketball, softball, cheerleading, tumbling, gymnastics, track. There wasn't nothing
Girl
she didn't do.
Scouts.
Yeah, Girl Scouts, and
All of this, how'd you catch her? She was
that
off.
kept me busy too.
Yeah.
Coming and going. But it was good for both of us to stay busy.
Yeah, something positive to work through everything.
But I don't think people realize the people that commit murder. I don't think they realize that the person they're killing, that's not the only person they're injuring. It affects the whole family, everyone. It damaged all of my children.
And all their children.
In different ways, and their children. Because then their children thought Andrea got special treatment. She was granddaughter, now she's daughter. She gets more Christmas presents now.
Yeah,
Well, she was getting Christmas presents as my child now. And the other grandkids were still getting Christmas presents as grandchildren. It affects so many different things that I don't think people ever even think about. I want to tell people that or sitting in prisons and stuff, you didn't only harm that person, you harmed all of the family.
Yeah. It's a domino effect.
It is. It's just really sad.
It
And
has
one of the
affected
things
all
that
of
helped
us.
me greatly was I did join, I don't think they even have it now, but they had Parents of Murdered Children. And I belong to that church now where I used to go, Boston Avenue. And that helped greatly, to go, because talking is healing. That is the best healing. It's just, it really helped, because when you go to those meetings, everybody there is going through the same thing you are, and just to be able to communicate.
Right. And being able to communicate with people who understand.
Yeah.
Because they're going through something similar. And, I've always heard, because I go to therapy regularly, is that getting those emotions out to somebody who's outside of your familial circle, it stops it from being just right there with you guys, and it helps you release all of that. And I'm sure it's a great release for them as well, these other families that get to talk to you.
Yes.
So it's wonderful that you were a part of that, and that you had a way to...
And I went through my guilt, because when Andrea was such an active child and very good student, she was accelerated in 3 classes. And when she did get into the drug situation, I felt like I had failed somewhere. Like, what did I do wrong, It just, but she was very, very strong and come out of it.
Part of that 1%.
Yeah. And everybody has their own journey.
And she's been clean since 19...
No, not 19.
I mean, not 19, yeah.
I've been clean since about 2007.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
7. I was going to say 6, but
That's amazing. Everybody has their own journey when it comes to healing, and not one person is wrong or right. It's how you work through it. And like I said, you're incredibly strong for going through what you have and coming out better on the other side of it. So thank you both so much for speaking with me. I'm now going to bring in Lori, who you may have heard a couple times behind us. She is the sister of
Yes.
Toni. All right. Hello, Lori.
Hello.
You've been in the background for a little bit now, kind of hearing this and hearing the recount of events. Now I want to hear from you, being Toni's sister. How old were you when Toni was killed?
I was 22.
Goodness. So, we've heard how Erma and Andrea coped with that loss. How did you handle that?
It was tough because we had a disagreement the last time I saw her, and I never got to make up with her. So that was very hard, but I'm being here for her daughter.
Of course. I mean, that's how you made up for it, right?
Yes.
And if there's one thing anybody knows, it's that siblings fight.
Oh, yeah.
And they argue, especially sisters, and like Andrea said, you guys are all very strong women and, probably stubborn, like my mom likes to say about me. And so it makes sense that you guys argue. Have you been able to release that now that it's been 40 years?
Oh, I talk to her very often, and now my other sister, Terry, when she passed in 2020, I talked to her, and I pray all the time for them that they're up there holding and giving each other hugs.
Yeah. What do you think would have to happen, like in Toni's case, for Toni to have justice?
I think we just need a resolution of what actually happened, and just something to kind of relieve some of that not knowing.
Yeah.
That would be so much helpful, just to know how much she fought is why we're still here as a family, because we wanted to keep her alive, as her memory alive, and just to let everybody know how such a great person she was.
Right. And to know how hard she fought to get back to you guys, and now you guys fight so hard to keep her case out there and her name out there so people can help.
Yes.
Yeah. Since we've talked about, the last 40 years have been wrapped in tragedy with this case not being solved. Instead of focusing on the negative, I would like to hear, something positive. What's your favorite memory with Toni?
I would say playing games with her. She always was positive, and she was a winner, just like her daughter. And she doing cheers with her, that was fun. And she loved to swim too when we would go swimming. There was just so much positive things that she did with her life, and to know, at least I was there for Mom when she found out. When I heard her screaming up there when they first told her, I couldn't let it loose because I was at work, and I had to take care of everything that was going on. But and then when we left work and she told me what had happened, that's when I could let it out.
Yeah.
So, but it was hard, especially not knowing is the hardest part. We just want to know, why would somebody do that to her? She was a good person.
Yeah.
And to have resolution would be the best, but with all the people that we had that were suspects, most of them were passed away, murdered, dead, whatever, but I just don't think we're ever going to get resolution, and that's not fair for Toni.
Yeah.
Or Andrea.
That's so hard. And you mentioned wanting to know why, and the thing is, that why, even if you found out, would never be good enough.
Exactly.
Because it just doesn't, it's never going to equate whatever they wanted out of it, the why, the reason they felt the need to hurt Toni that night is never going to be good enough.
Yes.
Because there's no reason. There's no real reason to do that to someone. And so it's their why is worthless. But answers to who need to happen.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell her all the time when I say my prayers, Toni, I should have listened to you. We should have never had that argument, and you were my big sister for a reason. You knew what you were talking about.
She knows.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
How about you, Erma? What's one of your favorite memories with Toni?
Oh, gosh. Holidays. We had awesome holidays. And I think the thing that I loved about Toni is that when her sisters fought, she was always a little problem solver. She'd get in there and
The mediator.
yeah, the mediator. I feel guilty sometimes because I don't feel like I have fought hard enough. I know when I belonged to Parents of Murdered Children, they said you have to stay on top of it. Call the detectives, the sheriff every day. Write them. You just have to. And I didn't. I was so involved in taking care of Andrea that I did not. I feel guilty because I didn't push it hard enough.
Oh, you shouldn't.
And even today, Andrea said she needs to know for closure. That's why I'm doing this. Yes, I'd like to know who did it, but it's not going to bring Toni back.
Right.
And I am a person that doesn't believe in capital punishment. It doesn't make sense to me, like, we're going to kill you because you killed somebody. That's the way I look at it. So
Yeah.
finding out who did it is not as important to me as it should have been. And it's not going to bring her back, and I miss her so much.
Right.
We always had pictures, and I lit a candle at holidays and on her birthday and stuff like that. You know, we just did things like that to keep her. Told Andrea all the little stories about you did this and did that, try and keep, you know, her mother's memory alive for her. But being 3, you know,
Yeah.
you just...
I don't think anybody would blame you for not putting as much, and I doubt this is even true, but not putting as much energy. I'm sure you I mean, you're still fighting for her.
Yes.
You know. So, but with raising Andrea and those kind of things, I don't think anybody would.
I felt that was the priority.
Yeah.
And knowing Toni, that would have been the most important thing to Toni.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. I'm gone. I'm in a better place now. Don't worry about my daughter.
Exactly. I think you did exactly what you could do and more so in that. So you shouldn't feel guilt for because I think you did an amazing job. So I just want to thank both of you so much, and Andrea, who's now behind me, so much for coming and speaking to me about Toni's case. I, for one, believe Toni deserves justice, and I just want to thank you guys for sharing her story with me.
We thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Yes, thank
it
you.
greatly.
One thing, I do want to
Yeah.
say one thing. There was a yellow rose that was always placed on my mother's grave for years. And it just recently stopped a couple years ago. But almost my whole life, there was always a single yellow rose put on her grave. There was also a yellow rose found in the apartment and then also in the car when they found her car. I don't know if that meant something to someone, but it has always been a...
Toni loved yellow roses, and at the winter circle that night, you know how they'll have people go around and sell flowers? She had bought a yellow rose. To my understanding, there was only one. Connie said when she dropped her off, the rose was on the dash. When my other daughter that's not here today, Lisa, which is Lori's twin, although they don't look alike, they're fraternal, but when Lisa went to the apartment to get clothing for Toni's burial, she said there was a yellow rose there on the coffee table, which says Toni went home, right?
But then Darlene also said
But
there was a
then
yellow
somebody said that they said that there was a yellow rose
rose on the dash.
On the dash.
on the dash
When they found the car.
when they found the car. So I'm wondering, you know, there's a mix-up there. I'd like to get that solved too, kind of.
Oh, peculiar.
Like, was there 2 yellow roses, you know?
But also one being left at her gravesite.
Every year for years. And then Lord,
Yeah, and they had at the funeral, there was a car sitting back. She's buried at Floral Haven, in Memories area, and there's a rounded out area over there, and there was a car sitting there. There I am talking with my hands.
Oh, you're fine.
A car sitting over there during the whole service at the cemetery. And the detectives told me they would be there, but they didn't make it. I can't remember why, but they did question why that car was there. Because I guess maybe somebody did make it there. I don't remember now. But they questioned that car, and we've never explained who was in that car. I said, why, if it was someone that was involved, why would they have, why would they have been at the cemetery? And they said that they do sometimes. They will go and mourn the victim that they killed, which struck me odd.
Yeah. Well, if you know anything about Toni's murder, if you're listening, if you're watching, and you know anything that could help, please call the Tulsa Cold Case Unit at 918-586-1357. Thank you both.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
God bless.